What's going on, guys? JHoyt back with you today. Welcome back to NHL 20. Got a really interesting set of couple of games for you. This one, we have 3 gameplays. They're all extremely short due to the fact that I score a lot of goals really quickly in all of them, forcing our opponent to rage quit, which is absolutely fantastic. I absolutely love doing that because it makes you feel like an absolute beast at the game when they have a better team, but then all of a sudden you just come out the gate and just score a million goals. So that's always great. But now we gotta talk about something, right? And it's kind of been something I've been wanting to talk about for a little bit now, and I think I've kind of briefly mentioned it over the years, I guess I'll call it, but this time we're gonna make a full video on it, so that way I can kind of explain all of my thoughts and revisions, I guess I would say, to said topic. But you already know what the topic is if you read the title, right? The NHL overtime system. Now, I said system only because obviously you have the regular season, you got the playoffs, and then you got a whole bunch of stuff that has to do with it that goes on with it. So I'm going to call it a system. There's probably a better word for it, but you know what? I'm going to use system, and we're going to rock with it anyway. So let's just go over the current system, right? I'm going to use system because, that's a good word. Right, current system, regular season, overtime. So we're tied at the end of regulation. After 3 periods, it is tied, right? Pretend it's a 3-3 game. Regular season, right now, there'd be a 5-minute, 5-minute period of a 3-on-3, so 3 versus 3 on the ice, obviously including the goaltender, so it'd be technically 4-on-4, but we're counting just the skaters here. So 5-minute 3-on-3 overtime. Now, as I've seen a lot, it creates some really good plays. It creates a lot of odd men chances, and it's overall exciting once teams keep going back and forth the entire overtime. But there's also times where the overtime ends within the first 2 minutes, or maybe even minute, because one team goes down, they miss a really good chance, and then the other team goes down and they get the opportunity and then they score. So again, we'll go into the pros and cons in a second, but 5-minute 3-on-3, then we have a shootout. Now, let me just make my stance clear on shootouts, that I hate them, right? Now, if this was the All-Star game, the skills competition, whatever, go nuts. Have some fun, right? It's going to be a good grand old time. But let's just get right into our thoughts, because it's going to kind of... So I'm going to go backwards here from shootout to overtime. So, shootout. How does that decide a game? It doesn't. It is the real answer. It does not decide the shootout, because you could have, just say, one guy, or maybe a couple of guys, that are really good at shootouts. Now, there are some people that are really good at shootouts. Personally, in game, not really one of them. But obviously, real life, you have people that can make them on a consistent basis. Like, there's nobody that's really been a absolutely fantastic shootout person. So then, all of a sudden, you get a couple of rounds deep, and you have one guy that ends up putting a goal past the goalie, and all of a sudden, it's a skills competition, right? Whoever makes the move and guesses correctly, wins the game. Which is why I hate shootouts in every sport there's been, including soccer. It just doesn't decide anything, because if you guess wrong, you lose your game, right? What if that game right there is on the line, or that game's on the line for the playoffs, and you miss out because of a shootout? How mad would you be? Rather than playing it out in this 5-minute 3-on-3 overtime setting, or play it out in a different setting that we'll talk about a little bit later on, how mad would you be? How mad would your general manager be, your coaches, your staff, your players, your entire fan base? How mad would everyone be if you lost out on that game because you lost a shootout and you missed the playoffs and you could have been the Stanley Cup champion? That just doesn't seem right, right? If you lose and you got outplayed, you got outskated, outworked, outchanced, whatever, then it's different, right? You kind of deserve that. But a shootout, it just doesn't really, it doesn't decide the winner, in my opinion. So shootouts shouldn't decide the games. It's a skills competition. In my opinion, definitely I'd rather have teams play it out, whether it be a 5-person on 5-person, or 4-on-4, 3-on-3. I'd rather see more team play rather than just a solo skills competition. Doesn't really decide the game type system. So that was the regular season, right? Now we got the other part of the season, which is the playoffs, right? Now the current system is a continuous 5-on-5 overtime until there's a winner. So you play 20-minute periods, continuous overtime, normal rules, normal everything else, and you just keep playing until someone wins, basically. And it just keeps going. I think the most I've seen recently has been, was it 4 or 5 overtimes? I think, something like that. But usually it's done in 1 or 2. I mean, usually it's like, it's usually really early in the second overtime. Usually is what I've seen. But you never know. So that continuous overtime, you get people playing, like your defenseman playing like 40 minutes a game. Like, it's absolutely insane. But, I don't really have anything bad to say about this system. I mean, I don't know. I actually kind of like it. The continuous 5-on-5, right? You just keep playing your full team until the end. So that creates some tactical opportunities. Obviously, all of your star players, your star defensemen, your big-name defensemen, the people that play all the time are going to be tired. They're going to be playing some minutes. And the only thing the bad goes is obviously fatigue in a series. But, that's part of the game, right? You got to make sure you try to rehab yourself as best as possible and go back and win. So I wouldn't really change this system, although I really don't like ties either. Like, I feel like there should be, no matter what, a winner. So I don't have a good idea for that one, but we'll move on to the new system, right? Potentially. Now, hypothetically, obviously, nothing what I'm saying is even remotely accurate that it's going to be changing or anything. It's just an idea I thought of that could be an interesting thing to add. So I talked about this with a couple people in person at a hockey game, and they thought it was a decent idea. Now, all of their, I guess, concerns were all pretty legitimate, and, they all had the same basic thing to say. But the new system, I already kind of mentioned it, playoffs wouldn't change. Still would be continuous 5-on-5 overtime until there was a winner. But the regular season. Now, this idea is kind of crazy. It's not insane, but it's kind of drawn out. Like, other people would rather have a much simpler system. But you know what? Oh well. So our new system would be, regular season would be 10 minutes, 5-on-5, right? So it wouldn't be a full period, but it'd be half that period just to try to determine that winner. Now, if you go through that 10-minute 5-on-5, you don't come to a winner. Imagine you then go to a 4-on-4 10 minutes. So now you decrease 2 players off the ice, gives yourself a little bit more space on the ice to create something, right? That's the thought there, is to try to change up a little bit, give people more space. Maybe it would open up for an opportunity. So now you're at, what would that be, 60 minutes? So now you're at 70, 80 minutes into this game of game time, and you still haven't come to a winner, right? That's regular. Regular game time. Plus, now you have this 20 minutes of overtime. First 10 being 5-on-5. Second 10 being 4-on-4. Then imagine going to a 3-on-3 for 5 minutes. Now, again, this is crazy. It's drawn out. People would probably rather have a simpler system. But you have this 3-stage system. And then even if you don't come to a winner after all that, then go to a shootout. Because even though I hate shootouts, and I've said that multiple times, I still feel like if you can't come to a winner after, it'd be what did I say? 85 minutes of game time, then maybe you gotta try something different. But at least for this, it could be a good idea. And the main reason I thought of this was it wouldn't be just a 5-minute 3-on-3 and then a shootout, right? Like that, I don't like that. Plus the shootout, we already talked about that. We don't like that. Then playoffs, I already said, wouldn't change that one. But then the regular season, 10-minute 5-on-5, 10-minute 4-on-4, 5-minute 3-on-3, or maybe even 10-minute, whatever you want to pick. Maybe there's a little intermission between. I don't know. Just something. Change it up a little bit. I'd like to see more games decided by a team rather than a shootout. Obviously, I wouldn't change the playoffs. Those are pretty intense as it is. But just overall, a fun idea to throw around. Get your guys' opinions down in the comment section below. But as the game wraps up here, I'm going to wrap up the video. If you guys did enjoy, hit that like button down below. Let me know what your guys' thoughts on this system are. Again, 10-minute 5-on-5, 10-minute 4-on-4, 5-minute 3-on-3, then a shootout. Playoffs system would not change, so just be a continuous 20-minute period, 5-on-5, until a winner is determined. Let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comment section below. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure you do that and hit that little bell. But anyway, guys, we'll see you next time.